Today on xxMelle Potato Kitchen, we'll make heroes. We make the naan bread, we make the vegetarian meat, and we make the tzatziki. Look at this! The bread was soft and garlicky, the meat substitute was grilled and full of flavor, and the tzatziki was packed with lemon flavor and dill and all of this. It was so good. For this recipe, what you'll see is double to what I'm adding in. So I did 2 blocks of tofu, but we'll do the ingredient for 1. So you start with 1 block of tofu that you crush with a food processor to have a fine granulated texture. Then you want to add 1 tablespoon of miso paste, but I would recommend dilute that miso paste into the vegetable broth that we'll add at the end. Then you want to put some salt. You want to add 2 eggs, 2/3 cup of flour, and 1/2 cup of flour. Then you need to add 1/2 cup of vegetable broth, and that's where you would add the miso. You just add everything into the bowl. So add the miso paste, a tablespoon of miso, and the vegetable broth. Then you want to mix together everything and make sure that you have the right texture. And if you do, then it's time to add the seasoning. Remember that the seasoning is dry, so it might require a little bit more liquid. Here I'm adding a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a tablespoon of oil. I've used sun-dried tomato oil. And then I went really generously with the seasoning. So a good tablespoon of paprika, a good tablespoon of chili powder, a good tablespoon of garlic powder. I also added a tablespoon of black garlic powder, a lot of pepper, a teaspoon of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of dried oregano, and 2 tablespoons of dried rosemary. I also added 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke and 1 teaspoon of MSG. And I mixed everything together, make sure that the texture was correct. That's where I rectified the texture and added the additional flour. I mixed everything, and that's the texture that you want. You want something that kind of holds, and you see that it kind of like keep its shape. I added some more salt, and I started cooking. So for the cooking, what you want to do, you want to preheat your pan to the maximum level because you want to cook them fast and you want them to be really cooked. You want to have some almost burnt part on them. So I put some oil in my pan. I use a David's teaspoon to measure out the size of what I want because I don't have an ice cream scoop, and I figured an ice cream scoop would give me 2 big chunks of meat because I don't want to make big slices. So I used the David's Tea magic spoon. I don't know if they still sell it. I got that like almost 10 years ago. And did small little ball, put that into the pan. And you don't need to squish them. I started by squishing them because I didn't know I could wait. But you just cook them for like a minute and then you flip them and then you squish them as much as you can. And it's gonna make sure that they cook evenly and flat. I did some taste tests and noticed that they needed a little bit more cooking, so I cooked them a little bit more until they were really crispy and really golden. Once you reach that stage, they're ready. But you can only make those without making the bread. So for the bread, you'll need some lemon juice. So I freshly pressed some lemon juice. You'll also need warm water. The water needs to be between 105 and 110 Fahrenheit so that the yeast can work efficiently. So you want to have 1/2 cup of warm water between 105 and 110 Fahrenheit. In that warm water, you want to add a package of active dry yeast or 7 milliliter of active dry yeast. And you want to add a teaspoon of sugar. And you want to leave the yeast bloom while you fill out all the other ingredients in the bowl. So you don't have to wait a long time. You just have to mix everything well together and let it bloom. While it's doing its thing, you just need to add 2.5 cup of flour into a mixing bowl, 1/4 cup of milk or milk alternative, a teaspoon of lemon juice, and a teaspoon of olive oil, or I used peanut oil. By the time that you add all this into the bowl, you should be able to add the yeast mixture with the water and sugar into the bowl. And then you want to mix everything together. If you have a stand mixer, you can use that. And you want to mix it until it forms a ball. If you don't, it still works because I don't have one and I still made those bread and they were amazing. You just need to knead dough for a little bit of time until it forms a really nice dough and everything it holds together, and that you almost have no more flour at the bottom of the bowl. So since I almost had no flour at the bottom of the bowl, I transferred it to another bowl, covered it with a damp towel, and added it into my oven for bread proofing. So you want to put it into a warm place for an hour. While that was going, I did the tzatziki. You will need some dill, you will need a cucumber, some lemon juice, and some Greek plain yogurt. You want to start by chopping the dill. You want to make sure it's as fine as possible because you don't want to have big chunks. And you don't need that much, you need like a tablespoon, but of course I added more. You want to chop that. I added that into my lemon juice. It says 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, but I didn't respect that. I added what was left for my lemon, and I've put the dill in it because why not? Then it's time to grate the cucumber. You want it to be finely grated. I didn't finely grate it, I just grated it, but it was fine. And then you want to put it into a towel to remove the excess water that is inside of the cucumber. And I didn't find anything to do with it, so I just put it down the sink. But I'm sure you can do something with that. You can drink it, but it's weird. Then you want to add the lemon juice, the dill, and you want to crush some garlic. Add it in, add the yogurt, mix everything, and it's ready. Ta-da! While you're still waiting for the bread, because it's an hour and this took 5 minutes, you want to crush some garlic and add some oil. You want to add a lot of oil because it's what you're gonna use on top of your bread while they're cooking. And you want to add some salt. Once the dough is doubled in size, and it took at least an hour, you want to remove it from the warm area and cut it in 8 equal pieces. Then you want to form 8 little balls and you want to roll them. You can use some flour. It is okay to use some flour to roll them out. I've used some and it didn't impact anything. Once you roll all of them, you want to preheat your pan at the highest temperature you can. You want to put one of your bread into the pan, and while it is cooking on one side, you want to brush the other side with the oil and garlic mixture, and you don't move it until it bubbles. Once you start seeing bubbles, you can flip it and oil the other side. And again, you don't touch it until you see bubbles. Once you see the bubbles, it is ready, you take it out. And you repeat the process until you're done with all of your bread. So, bread in a pan, oil, bubbles, flip, oil, bubbles, it's ready. And that's it. That's all the ingredients you need. So the next step, I just reheated some of the gyro vegetarian meat I did. You can see some of them are frozen right now. Added some oil and I cooked them in the garlic because why not? I didn't do them the same day, so that's why they were frozen. It took maybe 2-3 maximum 5 minutes to cook. I put some tzatziki on bread, put some of the meat, and I served that with some onion, lettuce, tomato, and it was really hard to take a nice shot or picture or anything. But this is what it looked like, and it was really tasty. I ate that all week, and I would eat more. I'm just too lazy to make the bread again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was really hard for me to explain how to make this recipe because it is the first time I tried to do something like this without any guide or any recipe to improve. So I just basically mixed 2 to 3 recipes together and inspired myself from those to achieve something like this. And honestly, I'm sure there's some improvement that can be done. But for the first time I do this, I am confident in myself to share this with you guys and that you will like this if you like to eat gyros normally but are looking for an alternative for this recipe to be vegetarian. I still have a lot left in my freezer and you can see here I cooked 5 of the little thing, but 3 fills of bread. 4 is too much and 5 it didn't fit. It really makes a lot and that's great because you can freeze it and use it and just take whatever you need. I would recommend I did it a little bit chaotic. I just dumped everything into a bowl and squished it and put it into the freezer. But I would recommend, if you're able to put like, to make layers and parchment paper layers, parchment paper, so that you don't have the meat sticking to each other. So yeah, that's today's recipe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's it for today. I have no idea what I'm gonna do next week. I have no more video to edit, so I might take a break. We'll see. I'll let you know. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere if you want to know more about my plans. And you can also join my Discord. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye!